Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. What does it mean husbands are to love their wives? I'm going to answer this question from gotquestions.org. And this channel is about love. It's about marriage to a woman from the Philippines in particular. But, we are to love whomever we marry. And so we need to know exactly what this means. So this is why I want to use gotquestions.org and putting them in a playlist called Love. You can access on Love Beyond the Sea, and please subscribe here, and always welcome to leave a comment. What does it mean husbands are to love their wives? Ephesians 5:25 through 33 contains vital instructions for husbands in their relationship with their wives. Verse 25 gives the basic command, husbands, love your wives. In case anyone wonders, the Greek word for love here is a form of agape. Husbands are to love their wives with God's kind of love, and that is selfless, sacrificial, unconditional. That's a challenge for every man and every woman to love this way. For a husband to love his wife, he must truly desire what is best for her, and he must work for that best regardless of the cost to himself. Now that may sound, this is me talking, that may sound absolutely preposterous, but it's in line with what I've been talking about here on Love Beyond the Sea for the last 5 years. And so I can attest to this. Yes, that's the length of love, that type of strength. And it takes a while to get there. And now back to this article here. The standard by which husbands are to love their wives is stated outright, and it's a high standard indeed, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Ephesians 5:25. The love of Christ took him to the cross. The love of a husband for his wife will involve a similar giving of oneself, even if the end result is not as bloody. Such is the nature of true love, that it is willing to sacrifice for the loved one. Such is the nature of marriage, that God intends husbands to sacrifice for their wives. The goal of husbands loving their wives is also addressed. Christ's goal for the church, his bride, is to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. That's from Ephesians 5, 26 and 27. Husbands cannot satisfy or sanctify their wives exactly like Christ sanctifies the church, but they can set the spiritual goal of their wives being all that Christ wants them to be. Then husbands can, in love, work toward helping their wives achieve that goal of Christ-likeness. Husbands who love their wives remember that they are fellow heirs of the grace of life. That's from 1 Peter 3:7. The Bible also gives husbands a practical way to gauge the authenticity of their love for their wives. Are they caring for their wives in a very comparable way to how they care for themselves? The Bible says husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated their own body, but they feed and care for their body, just as Christ does the church. It's from Ephesians 5 again. The one flesh principle comes into play here. Selfishness has no place in a marriage. And ironically, as a husband meets the needs of his wife, he will find that he himself reaps the benefits. Note, too, that the standards for husbands' love of their wives comes back to Christ's love for the church. The remainder of the passage in Ephesians 5 deals with the principle of leaving and cleaving, and emphasizes once again the connection between the marriage relationship and the relationship of Christ and his church. Too often, husbands look earlier in Ephesians 5 and latch on to the verse that says in verse 22, "Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord." Husbands sometimes take it upon themselves to make sure their wives submit to their authority. However, verse 22 was not written to husbands. It is specifically addressing wives. Husbands are never told to enforce their wives' submission. Rather, husbands are told to love their wives. Verse 25. Verses 25 through 32 are for husbands, and that is what they should focus on. What is a husband's responsibility? To love his wife without selfishness, without reservation, and without condition. Love her as Christ loved the church unto death. I reference John 13:1. Love her, seek her best good, sacrifice for her benefit, give yourself to her wholeheartedly. And when that's all done, love her some more. That's the end of this article from gotquestions.org about how husbands should love their wives. And I'll try not to be long here. This channel, Love Beyond the Sea, is about marriage. And about every other video, I'm putting out a video like this about questions about love. There are many things we can and should learn from about love to be a good husband. Hopefully you want to be a great husband, and you can be. We just have to learn to love this way. And, that all starts with being, saved so that we can walk in the Spirit and, meet all these standards, unselfishness, without condition, even unto death, sacrificing. And I've been saying that all along on this channel because love is not some feeling. Feelings aren't bad, but, love probably has to involve loss if it's really love. Kind of a paradoxical thing. So I would, consider paying attention to these words here from gotquestions.org. I pretty much try to talk about this throughout my channel. In the 8 years I've been married to a woman from the Philippines, it's getting married to anyone, I don't care how good she seems to be. The relationship is based on this type of love, and that's what the husband has to give, and everything is just starting. You got married, great. Now you move on to a more serious stage where you are commanded to love this way and work towards loving this way. And that's what it's going to take, to keep relationships together. The more a husband loves his wife, the more a wife loves her husband, then they're going to get through the tough times because they are committed, because their word or idea for love means commitment. It means sometimes overlooking some things. It certainly means bearing with things and yet being hopeful and praying for the other person and not being threatening. So it's a tall order. And so I've never wanted to give anybody impression, just get married and your life is going to be great. The exciting thing is if you're a man, you get to learn how to really lead and love. And that's, Jesus Christ is the ultimate example. And the more you do that, I think the more likely you're going to be seen as a great husband. So please subscribe, watch some more videos here on Love Beyond the Sea.